AITA for telling my stepdaughter's bio dad this is why I am her real dad. I am 39. Have known my wife for 10 years now. Married for 7. When I met her she had a 3-year-old daughter. Now 13. I always made it a point to treat her as I would my own kid, and we became close pretty quickly. When she was around 4 she even started calling me daddy. Her biological dad comes in and out of my stepdaughter's life. She calls us both dad, but she usually around home with my wife and I refers to him as his first name. Well, last night she was visiting with her bio dad when I got a text from my stepdaughter wondering if I could pick her up. Well, I got there, she was sitting outside with her bio dad holding her arm. She came over to my car and told me she was messing around with a skateboard and fell on her arm. Her arm was bruised, swollen, and hard for her to move. I asked her bio dad why didn't he call my wife. He said I don't think it's that bad, she's just being dramatic. My stepdaughter just looked at me and said, "Dad, can we just please go? I'm in a lot of pain." As she was getting in the car I told her bio dad, "See, this is why I'm her real dad. Not you. I actually care for her and her well-being." Later that night my wife got an angry text from bio dad calling me an AH. And my wife kinda agrees that I was being an AH at that moment. Daughter actually did break her arm, but her bio dad wasn't going to do anything about it. I'm the one who was in the with her until 1 a.m. Also, I would like to add I don't call her my stepdaughter, instead I call her my daughter just for the sake of the post. I figured it would be easier. Maybe unpopular, but NTA. How long was that poor girl sitting there with a broken arm? I would have said a lot worse to that man if I were in your shoes. So, she broke her arm and your wife still thinks you the For real? NTA. Her bio dad said I don't think it's that bad, she's just being dramatic. Daughter actually did break her arm, but her bio dad wasn't going to do anything about it. And this is why you're NTA. NTA. Especially since her arm was broken and he thought she was being overdramatic. I don't have anything good or say or think about parents who don't take their kids' medical complaints seriously. I had a friend in HS nearly die because his parents thought he was being overdramatic about his stomach pain. He had to threaten to call 911 before they took him to the hospital. Ruptured appendix. He has a very long scar and hospital stay since they had to flush everything and monitor him to make sure he wouldn't go septic. I may be biased here, because I too have AFCK head biodad. But NTA. Trust me, that kid will know to come to you when she needs help. Not that asshole. And she will remember who sat with her till 1 a.m. and who called her dramatic. As someone who wishes they had a stepdad like you at some point in my life, good on you. We all know who the real dad is. The one that took her to the hospital. And oops. You spoke your mind and stood up for your daughter. I'll go NTA because I don't think what you did was a huge deal. But TBH, I do feel the dig at him was unnecessary. The point has been made, you are involved with her pretty much full time. She calls you dad, etc. And I really doubt anyone labors under any illusions that he is a good or involved father. Rather than chide him for using such poor and reckless judgment as to not treat an injury seriously, you kind of made it an attack on his character. As effectively a deadbeat dad, it's hard to have much sympathy. But I understand your wife's perspective that you were being an AH in that moment. NTA. My son broke his arm when he was 11. My ex-husband picked him up from school, took him home and left him on the couch for 5 hours. We lived 3 minutes from the hospital and my son is a hemophiliac. I don't think your comment was out of line. Sometimes kids need to hear us calling out other adults for their stupidity. Your daughter also received validation from you that she matters. Justified because it's true. NTA though because it needed to be said, and quite honestly go to the courts with this all documented and get his rights taken away. He is an unfit parent. NTA. Your child had to text you to pick them up because his arm was broken and the adult in charge did nothing to help her. You called him out for his bad behavior. If he doesn't like it, he can do better. NTA for all the reasons people have said. I just want to add that with broken bones where the skin is still intact, there's a very real possibility of something called compartment syndrome, where the swelling from the injury runs out of room to expand and it begins to cut off blood supply to the area. If this had happened and if your daughter had remained without medical care for too long, she could have lost her arm or worse. Her bio dad's behavior wasn't just mean for not taking her seriously. It was genuinely dangerous. Edit. The fact that her pain was actively getting worse makes me think that she actually might have been developing compartment syndrome. Of course that's just a red flag symptom and it doesn't automatically make the diagnosis correct. But either way, increasing pain generally indicates that some kind of ongoing tissue damage was happening. And it's lucky you got there in time. Grimace. I mean, you didn't have to make that point. Your daughter, who is the important person, knows the difference between the person she chooses to call dad and the person she feels obligated to call dad. So NTA, but I'm not sure why you felt the need to make the point. INTA. Good thing for stepping up. Her bio dad is really a lousy person, not taking his daughter to the emergency room after she broke her arm. You are absolutely right for what you said. Let him get mad. And then send him a bill for your time in the emergency room and said this should have been you, not me, if you really want to be a father. NTA. He failed so incredibly hard and was throwing out personal attacks while you dealt with the emergency. Far as I'm concerned, he deserved a hell of a lot more than what was said. NTA. Well done, Dad. NTA. Bios blowing up his ex's phone over you calling him out, rather than checking on his daughter who broke her arm under his care and was in pain for hours. There's his priorities. Glad the kid has you up. Oh ouch. I will have to go with NTA. But you should not have said that. Just take the child to the ER and have her arm checked. Then possibly later tell bio dad the arm was broken, and he should have taken her or at least told you sooner. Saying that in the moment was because you saw your daughter in pain, and you were mad he thought she was exaggerating. You probably should apologize. But I don't think it makes you ta. YTA. Not for fighting or saying something, but for attacking his role in her life. That was unnecessary. You were mad he was horribly wrong. But you said something designed to inflame, not solve. He is still her dad and she will still have to live there. But now there is this fight thrown in his face as who the real dad is and who cares about her more. You needed to state that he was out of line for not getting her checked out and then reinforced it with the evidence of the broken arm. But arguing over who the real dad is takes the issue from being about your daughter's safety to being about you. You made this real issue into a personal measuring contest, and this isn't about you. Stop feeling threatened by this man and take care of your daughter. Your daughter called you because she needed you to remove her from the situation, not escalate the situation. Kind of I get the impulse, but you didn't add anything positive to the interaction here. Especially not cool to do where your kid could possibly hear. She doesn't need to be subjected to y'all's conflict or to be told her father doesn't care about her.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.